A walkaway with both sides agreeing to never discuss the matter in public again. So Blake was really pushing for the NDA and to keep the facts hidden forever. That's what they wanted to do. It was killing Blake that piece by piece, day by day, she was getting more and more humiliated with every new piece of evidence that was revealed. As you know, just before she settled, she was caught in lying in her deposition, saying that she never asked Sony to delete the dailies, while Sony said in another text message that they had just been asked by Blake Lively to delete the dailies. And then they say it's become clear to the public that everything she accused Justin of was actually something Blake and Ryan had done. They were the aggressors, they were the bullies, they were the liars, they were the ones.
They tried to buy his silence. He said no. Before the ink dried on any settlement, before the lawyers stopped talking, before the headlines moved on, there was a moment that changed everything. Blake Lively got on her knees, metaphorically speaking, and begged Justin Baldoni's team to sign one thing. Not an apology, not an admission, an NDA, a permanent seal on the truth, and Justin said no. That decision sent shockwaves through Hollywood that the industry is still feeling right now. Let's talk about who we're dealing with. Blake Lively, Gossip Girl royalty, Hollywood's golden girl, married to Ryan Reynolds, one of the most powerful brand machines in the entertainment business. Justin Baldoni, director, actor, the man behind it ends with us, the film that should have been a career-defining moment for both of them. Instead, it became the match that lit the entire industry on fire. From the outside, this looked like a standard Hollywood harassment dispute, a he said, she said, wrapped in PR spin. But the deeper you dig, the uglier it gets. Because what we now know is this: Blake and Ryan weren't the victims in this story. They were the architects of the attack. And the NDA was their final play to make sure no one ever found that out.
Hi and welcome to Film Talk. I'm Ashley Flo, journalist, Hollywood truth teller, and your voice of reason in a town built on delusion. So let's look at how Blake and Ryan are now being iced out by Hollywood, and these new photographs that are being shared online with Blake's former BFF Taylor Swift and her co-star from Another Simple Favor. That must really hurt. And let's look at this, how Ryan Reynolds was trying to ridicule the other lawsuit going on that potentially could really take him down, the Van Zam lawsuit. And he used all the biggest late night hosts to do it for him. It also looks like Blake Lively's publicist Leslie Sloan is losing grip over Hollywood. One of her major publicists just left her company.
Here's where it gets dark. According to insider sources close to the legal proceedings, Blake Lively was being systematically humiliated, not by Justin, but by her own lies unraveling in real time. Just before the settlement, she was caught contradicting herself in her own deposition. She claimed she never asked Sony to delete the dailies. Sony's own text messages said the exact opposite. Day by day, piece by piece, the facade was crumbling. Ryan Reynolds wasn't sitting still either, while his lawyers negotiated behind closed doors. He was quietly using some of the biggest names in late-night television, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, to push his personal agenda through a Mint Mobile podcast ad. He was too busy to record it himself, but not too busy to write a script mocking the very lawsuit.
Yeah, Ryan was too busy to record a 1-minute commercial for them, but he wasn't too busy to write what he wanted them to say. And of course, as always, Ryan can't help himself. And this time, he wanted to make sure that everyone knows how ridiculous this whole lawsuit is that's still going on between the two publicists. I'll run the clip for you first so you understand what I'm talking about.
Plus, you can keep your phone, unless your phone belongs to your television network. They're going to want it back. Either way, signing up is easy. All you need to do is go to mintmobile.com/strikeforce.
Yes, you can keep your phone unless your phone belongs to a television network. They're going to want it back. And as you can see, there were some weird laughs around that.
That threatened to expose him. Colbert read it on air. He almost certainly had no idea what he was being used for. This is the Ryan Reynolds playbook. Use other people's platforms. Keep your hands clean. Let someone else take the heat.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. This one was quite interesting. Thank you, Bettina, for sending me this. This is a really good catch from Bettina here. She sent me this video of all the late night hosts. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver, and Seth Meyers. They were having a conversation on their podcast, Strict Force 5, something that this podcast that they actually started during COVID. And they mention in this episode that the main sponsor of their podcast back during COVID was Mint Mobile. And Ryan Reynolds would always read the ads for them. And he was also a guest on the show, I think a couple of times. And in the middle of this episode, Jimmy Kimmel takes up a note saying that, hey, we need to thank the sponsor, again, Mint Mobile, who's doing so much great work, and they're doing charity work, blah, blah, blah. And then he says that Ryan didn't have time to read the ad this time.
Ryan himself was too busy to record a commercial for this, but he did have time to send what in the podcast industry is called a live read ad script that he specifically requested be read by our man of the hour, Stephen Colbert.
But something went wrong this time. The Wayfair side, Justin's production company, held firm. They had already watched Blake and Ryan twist a single line from the settlement to make Justin's team look guilty in the press. The phrase, Blake Lively deserved to be heard, was weaponized against them within hours. So when Blake's team came back pushing for a full NDA, demanding permanent silence, Justin's people didn't flinch. No NDA, no deal. Those were the terms. And here's where it gets fascinating. Sources suggest it wasn't just Justin who held the line. It was Emily, Justin Baldoni's wife, who once before had shut down Ryan Reynolds when he tried to get Justin's team to sign a statement, accepting blame for the film's disastrous press tour. She said no then.
And Justin said no. Some people suspect it was Emily who once again stood up to Ryan. Emily, as you know, is Justin Baldoni's wife. And we know that she got involved when Ryan Reynolds wrote that statement. Remember that statement he wrote for them that he wanted them to sign and give to the media, saying that it was all their fault, that the PR for the movie It Ends With Us was so tone deaf, and taking all the responsibility for all the backlash that Blake Lively and her co-star had received. Emily stepped up and said, no way. We've seen that in text messages. And that makes me believe that Emily has been a lot more involved in actually pushing back at Blake and Ryan.
And the pattern suggests she played a quiet but decisive role again. Blake's team hated it, but they were in no position to push back. So Justin walked away with something far more powerful than money. He walked away with his voice. His attorney, Brian Friedman, said it from the start.
When Lively begged Wayfair to let her drop the remaining 3 claims, Friedman told Wayfair this could be the end. And Wayfair agreed to allow her to drop the claims, but only if the NDA was dropped. Justin did not want to be silenced about the hell he had been put through. No deal unless the NDA is gone. And Lively's side hated it, but was in no position to resist. This is why Justin was okay with the deserve to be heard language, because from his point of view, everyone deserves to be heard, even if they're utterly wrong. And the person says that now Justin walks away being able to tell the truth. That's all he ever wanted. And we've heard that from his attorney as well. Brian Friedman said all he wants is the truth to come out. And they say here he has faith in the truth.
All Justin ever wanted was the truth to come out, and now it can. Meanwhile, Blake's publicist, Leslie Sloan, is losing senior staff. A veteran PR executive just launched his own firm, departing with language that quietly signals a different philosophy from Sloan's notoriously aggressive style. Hollywood's machinery is quietly distancing itself from Team Blake.
Would you drag all these other people into this? Okay, so let's look at how Leslie Sloan, Blake Lively's publicist, is now losing employees. So this is from The Hollywood Reporter, saying that Jeffrey Chasson, veteran Hollywood publicist, launches Gingham PR. So he worked for many years for Leslie Sloan's company, Vision PR. She's the CEO and founder of that company. I wonder what it was like when he told her he's leaving her company. Did she say, hey, give me your phone, I'm gonna give it to the New York Times so we can leak every conversation you had with our clients? I don't think so, but still, I don't think it was an easy move for him. So this guy is, according to The Hollywood Reporter, a veteran in the industry. And the reason for leaving, he's saying, is that I've always felt that I ran a bit of a different cadence from traditional personal PR, offering clients a broader spectrum of strategy and deliverables. I'm extremely excited to showcase my personal style now in full within my own framework. Launching Gingham PR allows me to fully realize that vision and deliver my approach in a more focused, bespoke way for clients.
The People magazine puff pieces keep coming. The old couple photos. The Instagram story tributes that vanish after 24 hours.
You're doing. So, as you know, Blake and Ryan are out there pitching stories about themselves daily now to make it seem like they're a lovable couple. They love their children. She's a great mom. He's a great dad. They have a lot of friends, blah, blah, blah. They're super successful still. So this lawsuit didn't really harm them in any way. So People magazine did this story saying, see photos of every time Blake and Ryan packed on the PDA. The Deadpool actor and Gossip Girl star married in 2012 and share 4 kids. That is this news. Talking about news, breaking news, you guys. And then they say, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have been madly in love for almost 15 years, and they have the photos to prove it. They have taken selfies together 16 times, according to this article. So they must be in love. That is the proof. Really?
But here's what nobody is answering. If Blake and Ryan were truly the victims, why did they need Justin Baldoni's silence so desperately? Why does innocence always seem to come with an NDA attached? If you want the truth before the mainstream media catches up, subscribe to Celebzova. We don't wait for the official version.